that are attempting to suppress Parliament's constitutional obligation to hold the executive and Parliament accountable. Parliament must be physically convened to deal with all parliamentary issues and its agenda. With this background and a solid agreement, we as political parties will work with all sections of society, including civil society formations, to engage in the following key activities and programs. We will jointly and individually submit the names of former judges, Mogoeng Mogoeng, Dikgang Moseneke, Bernard Mwepe, and Yvonne Mogoro, to the Parliamentary Section 89 Independent Panel that will investigate the conduct of Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. We as opposition political parties support the proposal brought by the Democratic Alliance that Parliament must establish an ad hoc committee to investigate all the violations of the law by the President, members of the SAPS, members of the State Security Agency, and all other members and institutions of the state that were involved in the commission and concealment of the crimes that occurred in Palapala Farm. All opposition parties, except the Democratic Alliance, agree that in the immediate will introduce a motion of no confidence in Mr. Ramaphosa. We believe that as the leader of the opposition in Parliament, the DA should table the motion. We have assembled a team from amongst ourselves to hold a bilateral engagement with the DA to discuss and finalize the motion of no confidence as a complementary measure to holding Mr. Ramaphosa accountable. We demand that the South African Reserve Bank, the Financial Intelligence Center, the South African Revenue Services, the National Prosecuting Authority, and the South African Police Services Hawks must act with integrity and immediately act on the violations of the law and the Constitution by the sitting President. We will, as opposition political parties, will engage in a picket to the Office of the Public Protector on the 9th of September 2022 to demand the immediate release of the report on the violation of the Executive Ethics Code, because the Executive Ethics Code Act prescribed that the reports on investigation must be released within 30 days. We as political parties are concerned that it has been more than 70 days since the Palapala violation were reported to the police, and all the responsible institutions, including the South African Reserve Bank, South African Revenue Services, the South African Police Services Hawks, and the Financial Intelligence Center, have deliberately ignored the parliamentary questions and seemingly involved in the cover-up to shield the sitting president. We as opposition political parties, which as per the 2021 local government election outcome represent the majority of South Africans, call on all the people of South Africa and all formations to close ranks and unite against lawlessness and violations of South Africa's laws and the Constitution. We will do everything in our power to fight against all forms of wrongdoing and will never be intimidated by anyone. We, as opposition political parties, dip our banners in remembrance of the 34 mine workers who were murdered by the sitting government in the Marikana 10 years ago, and express a concern that up to so far, there is still no one who has been arrested or held accountable. Issued by opposition political parties represented in South Africa's Parliament, contact the following: DA, EFF, IFP, ACDP, UDM, ATM, NFP, PAC, COPE. I thank you.
Thank you very much, President. Can we then, before we take questions, get reflections from the Secretary General of the Inkatha Freedom Party, Honorable Siposetu Ngcobo.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Sorry, thank you, Chairperson. Someone is sabotaging. Thank you, Chair, and colleagues, the media. I just want to say that we took oath of office, and we have an obligation. That oath obligates us to hold the executive accountable. Hence our coming together when things seem to get out of hand as it is happening in our country. You heard what we are saying in the statement. That is why then we are saying we will collectively make sure that we hold the executive to account. There is even the name of the president mentioned in some of the things that are not happening as expected in the country. And if number one of the country is mentioned, we have therefore an obligation to make sure that we speed up everything we can do to make sure that we stop all the ills that might be happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Secretary General. We're going to now give to the African Christian Democratic Party Member of Parliament, Honorable Wayne Train.
Thank you, Chair. As the African Christian Democratic Party, we believe that no one individual in South Africa is above the law. And obviously that includes the President. The President has a case, the President, Mr. Ramaphosa, has a case to answer. We do not want, under our watch as opposition political parties, to be accused of not holding the executive or the President, for that matter, to account. And so as the African Christian Democratic Party, we believe that the President has a case to answer. And so as the ACDP, we support the initiatives by the opposition parties to hold the President to account, as well as calling a motion of no confidence in the President. The President has a case to answer. He must answer that case and be accountable not only to the opposition parties, but also accountable to every citizen in South Africa. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ring. Now we're going to ask the President of the United Democratic Movement.
Thank you, Chairperson. Ladies and gentlemen, what we need to look at from now on, we endorse the statement, we are part of it, we are part of this program, but we need to focus on the office of the Speaker in Parliament. And I would appeal to the media to watch the process from now on, because the independent panel we have been given up until beginning of September to submit names. We hope that she will speed up the process. We don't expect her to apply delaying tactics and appoint this panel maybe in January. This matter is very, very urgent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General. We're going to now give the President of the African Transformation Movement, President Zulu.
Thank you, Chair. There are certain principles that ought to guide us as a country. One being the rule of law, the other being we are all equal before the law. Now, if any ordinary citizen would have committed the same crimes as committed by Ramaphosa, we do not think that after 70 days, SARS, the Reserve Bank, FIC, and all of these other institutions would have kept quiet. They would have acted. Therefore, we're dealing with a person that is highly protected by the institutions. That is why even the Hawks or NPA can't even outright state that they're investigating Ramaphosa. So we believe as the ATM that the coming together of opposition parties in Parliament will enforce accountability. You'll remember that there are times whereby members of the ANC will to try to enforce accountability in Parliament, but they get suspended. However, as opposition parties, we are not at the mercy of Ramaphosa or the ANC. Therefore, we believe that the President is ultimately accountable to Parliament, and as members of Parliament as we are, it is our duty and obligation to make sure that he accounts. And we are going to continue with this process up until it reaches the finality of Mr. Ramaphosa being impeached and the motion of no confidence is passed against him. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Zugula. Now we're going to allow the President of the Congress of the People, Honorable Masuli Pata.
Co-Chairperson. My dear friends, when we had been elected, we took an oath of office to say that we will not only obey the laws of our land, we also committed to ensure that we will not allow for anyone to break the laws of our country. Some of us had previously been arrested for fighting for freedom, for breaking the laws of apartheid. And as a matter of respect for the oath of office, we also did plead guilty in a number of cases of fighting to get freedom. Now that our freedom is with us, we took this oath again, this time to ensure that the people of our country benefit fully from the provisions of law of our country. It saddens us very much when we see from time to time communities without food, communities without water. Promises made by some of our core participants in parliament who don't care what happens to these people. We now want to place it on record. We will not allow for this kind of practice to continue now that you, the people, have voted for us to be in power. And we will do everything in our power to ensure that the government that you put in power is able to fulfill its promises of democracy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President. Now we're going to call the President of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, President Mzwanele Noto.
Thank you, Chair. We can only say as PAC we are proud to be part of this process. We cannot wait for another commission of inquiry to tell us that we have not done our job to keep the executive and ruling party accountable. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, President, and all leaders of the political parties that are represented in Parliament. We are now going to take questions from members of the media. So you identify yourself, the media house that you come from, and then you ask the question to the panel or to any individual leader who is on the panel. And then we'll take responses. We've got a roving microphone. So those of you who want to ask questions, you raise your hand, then we'll bring the microphone to you to ask the questions, and then our panel is going to respond. Are there questions from members of the media? It's number 1, number 2, number 3. Let's start with number 1 there at the end.
Good afternoon, President Cyril from the SABC. I just wanted to, I'm not sure if I heard correctly, but I heard you say something to the effect that the DA is not interested or doesn't want to be part of the motion of no confidence, and you're going to be having a meeting with them. Can you please try and explain to us perhaps what is the rationale behind the DA's willingness to be part of that particular strategy?
Number 2.
Hi everybody, it's Natasha Puri here from the SABC News. I just want to ask, are you taking this action because of what the Zondo Commission had found that Parliament had not exercised its role to hold the executive accountable during the state capture era? And seeing that you all are in the same room, our foreign news editor, Ms. Sophie Mokoena, had asked me to ask the various political parties and get their reactions on the election of William Ruto as the Kenyan president. Thank you.
Number 3.
Good afternoon. My name is Polo Gumloto from ENCA. I just want to find out whether you pointed out that it's been more than 70 days since complaints were laid with various institutions. Do you have faith in them, considering the fact that they are supposed to investigate the sitting president of the country, including the public protector, by the way. The second question relates to the ad hoc committee that you say you still want it set up. I think the Speaker of the National Assembly pointed out that she would rather it's investigated by the existing structures of Parliament, as she referred it to the Standing Committee on Intelligence. Why is it significantly important to have the ad hoc committee investigate this? Lastly, I'm not too sure if collectively as the opposition you have the numbers to vote out the president. Are you lobbying members of the ANC perhaps to vote along with you? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there another question? You didn't raise your hand. You only thought about it now.
No problem. Sorry, TP. No, I just want to add to his last question. My name is Mawande from the Sunday Times. On the issue of numbers, if the ANC sticks together and whatever you are trying to do is defeated, what must ultimately happen? What is the next step beyond this that you are initiating now? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we get members of the panel to respond? President of the EFF.
Thank you. Thank you very much, DP. The DA did not necessarily say they don't agree with the motion of no confidence. They are saying we need to give Section 89 a chance to complete its process, and only then we can be able to put a motion of no confidence. But also, equally, they are saying we need an ad hoc committee that will have the power to inspect Phala and summon all types of people with sufficient gathered information. Then we can then proceed to a motion of no confidence. And our argument is that the motion of no confidence requires very low reasons why you want to do that. By the admission of the president that there were dollars under mattresses and the sofas of the president, and that resources of the state were used without any case being opened, it's reason enough to pass a motion of no confidence against the president. Whether win or lose, it has got nothing to do with Section 89. A president can also be impeached even when he's not in office. So impeachment has got nothing to do with you sitting in the office. President Mbeki can be impeached, President Zuma can be impeached. So if we succeed in the motion of no confidence, it has got no bearing on Section 89. And those are some of the issues that we thought we'll take them up today with the DA when they come to the meeting. Unfortunately, they apologized due to other commitment. Hence, we've assembled a team to go and talk to them. They are not, in principle, opposed to the motion of no confidence. They just are saying they think this one must come before this one and this one come after that one. It's a process issue which we think will find each other. Accountability, not necessarily Zondo. If you read the judgment of Mukwege on EFF versus Zuma at that time, and Baleka Mbete, the Speaker of Parliament, Parliament was heavily criticized for not having exercised its role of holding the executive accountable. Majority of these leaders were there when the judgment went very hard on us that we have not held the president accountable. That's why we don't want to find ourselves once more on the wrong side of the Constitution and the law, because we have got a responsibility to hold the president accountable. On Ruto, as the EFF, we congratulated him, and we think that the Kenyans must accept the results. It is what it is. With highly contested elections and with such an outcome, which is very close, you are likely to have people who are not satisfied. It comes with the nature of the game. But Kenyans must prioritize Kenya and must protect Kenya and must protect democracy. They must love their country more than loving individuals. Because we cannot destroy a country on the basis of this or that individual who hasn't won elections. Shem Odinga has been trying. I think it's time for him to throw a towel and try a different candidate. Perhaps there could be a different outcome. But this is the 5th time. It can't be done beyond this. He needs to accept and move on. We have confidence in our institutions, and we still believe they will do the right thing. I think the president of UDM at some point made a suggestion that the president must take a leave of absence so that these institutions execute their responsibility without any interference or intimidation. So the reluctance is because the person is still there. Because we know for a fact that the issue of Pala Farm, it's a priority case in the Hawks. And the Hawks have been wanting to move, and the political interference has always stopped the Hawks from moving. Because remember, Libya, by law, he should be on retirement. He's sitting there because of the president. If the president wants to remove him tomorrow, he can, because he has reached the retirement age. So he knows he's the head of Hawks through the favor done to him by the president. And therefore, when he's told, don't move, and he is told by those who tell him, we've made you a favor to be here, there's nothing he can do. So we think the presence of the president in that office destabilizes the ability and the capacity of the institutions of the state to investigate without fear or favor. If we succeed in the motion of no confidence against President Ramaphosa, I can tell you he will be arrested the following day. They will be ready to move on him. But it is everybody, every career prosecutor, every career policeman, every career Reserve Bank person who takes his career very serious to be skeptical to want to move on a sitting president. This morning, the Reserve Bank was asked by Finance Committee in Parliament, has the president declared those foreign currencies that were found in his house? The Reserve Bank said they're still investigating. 70 days to just click a computer and check the ID number of Cyril Ramaphosa if in the past 5 years has ever declared foreign currency. You say you are still investigating. You can see that they've got something on Khanyao. And as a result, Khanyao is unable to do his job. Because anybody doesn't take a team for anyone to check if you're compliant with SARS or they just need your tax number, they punch it, they tell you the past 2 years you have not declared your finances. So they can't do it because it's a sitting president. So they've got capacity. FICA knows every movement of money in South Africa, as long as it goes through the proper channels. But FICA, it's very simple for FICA to say, we have no traces of such amounts of money passing any financial institution in South Africa. Because they just go into the systems and check, has there ever been such amounts of US dollars entering or leaving South Africa? If the answer is no, the money got in illegally, and therefore the law enforcement must move. FICA can't do it. So the ad hoc committee also gives us an opportunity as the political parties in parliament to keep the matter alive, to also summon what we think will help Section 89. Because Section 89 is going to work with what they have. But if we get at the ad hoc committee and we get the public protector releasing the report is going to come with answers of all generals of police and all generals of intelligence and all manner of, including the answers of the president. That report will come with a particular form of evidence which can be presented to the Section 89. Therefore, the panel is able to arrive at a conclusion that he must be impeached. So all these things complement each other. They are not in competition with each other. We don't need the ANC to pass a motion of no confidence. We need honorable members of parliament who honor their oath of office. We've all taken an oath of office. It doesn't matter how much I love you. If you violate the law and you are a sitting president of a country, it doesn't matter if I come from a same political party with you or not. I must do what is right by the Constitution of South Africa. If you are in doubt, Sunday Times, go and read Mokgwe's report on Jacob Zuma, the Speaker, and the EFF, where Mokgwe says members of parliament must use their conscience to vote on matters of this nature because they've taken an oath of office. No organization must give anyone a mandate to vote in terms of this or that line, because those people have taken an oath as an individual and not as a group of members of the ANC. We expect members of the ANC who are loyal to South Africa and its constitution to do the right thing when the motion of no confidence comes to Parliament on the day that will be soon announced. Thank you.
Secretary General, no.
Well, I think we have adequately responded. However, I just want to make emphasis on the fact that there are 400 members in the National Assembly, and each one of us took oath. We need to be doing the right thing. We are obligated to do that. And therefore, if everything goes well, we should be having a majority of people doing the right thing when that time comes. So lobbying may be there, but I mean we are not reliant so much on lobbying only. We are reliant on the fact that we were elected by the people to do the right thing, to go and represent them, to uphold the Constitution and the laws of this country. And therefore, we expect, if everything was going well, we should be having 400 votes. Everybody saying, here is the path we are taking to do the things right for a change. I just wanted to make that emphasis.
Honorable Wing, there was a question about the Ruto and Kenya, which was asked to all of us. I don't know if the IFP was going to respond to the issue of Kenya elections, but we can come back to that. Honorable Wing?
Thank you. I think maybe firstly with regards to the question of the Zondo Commission and not holding the executive to account as a result of the statement made by Justice Zondo, I think clearly I made in my opening statement that as opposition parties and clearly as the ACDP, we would not want to be found in that particular category where having sworn an oath of office at Parliament to hold the executive to account, we are seen to be failing to actually do that. And so, yes, there is some bearing on what the Zondo Commission has actually, Chief Justice Zondo has actually indicated, and we don't want to be found to be in that category of not holding the executive to account. With regards to the elections in Kenya, clearly a fairly highly contested elections with the outcome in favor of Ruto, with Odinga crying foul. Sadly, we've also found some IEC officials that have been attacked and one who was actually murdered. And so the ACDP calls for calm. We call for democracy and peace to prevail within the country of Kenya, and let peace rule and not individual ideologies or the individual being above the country's interest. I think that also with regards to the ad hoc committee, if it's necessary for members of parliament to go to visit Pala Pala farm, the members of parliament must have that option to go and visit and to go and investigate beyond what Section 89 process is able to do, beyond what the motion of no confidence is able to do. So I think with regards to the ad hoc committee, we support the establishment of the ad hoc committee in Parliament. Thank you.
General Bantu Olomisa.
I've got nothing to say about Kenya because that process, it looks like it has not yet been finalized. You can't have 4 commissioners resigning out of 7. So there are a lot of questions which need to be addressed there. However, one hopes that the Kenyans themselves will sit around the table and avoid any bloodshed as a result of what is happening there. On the issue of Zondo Commission and the numbers you are talking about, whether we have sufficient numbers, we have traveled this path before. These opposition parties are not new on this road. We have been betting on a wicket of anti-corruption in Parliament. We have been betting on a wicket of promoting ethics of good governance. And that's why we made it easy during the time for this country to have Zondo Commission. Zondo Commission was established because we spent a lot of time and money going to Constitutional Court. And we exposed that one-party dominance is breeding corruption in this country. So therefore, the Zondo commissions, as well as the numbers you are well worried about, we did have a secret ballot against the former president. And the people were worried, the opposition parties have got small numbers. But some members of the ANC who had a good conscience on their side voted with the opposition parties because they were defending the integrity of the House and the integrity of Parliament. But if there are still, the integrity of the country, but if there are still elements, rogue elements within this part we are traveling, we are going to deal with them legally.
President Zungula.
And mine is to join General on the issue of Kenya by stating that we hope that with the current impasse regarding the election is resolved peacefully and loss of life will be avoided. On the question whether we have faith in the institutions, I think for us, it's what we've stated, that whilst capacity is there in the institutions from your SARS, the Reserve Bank, the Office of the Public Protector, what we are concerned about is that it should not take 70 days for SARS to indicate whether the taxes were paid in Palapal. Anyone knows, and everyone here can know, in fact knows that laws have been broken. The president abused his powers by instructing someone who's there to protect him to go and investigate theft on his private farm. That is abuse of power. That one is clear. The constitution is also very clear that members of cabinet cannot undertake any paid work. The president, in one of the ANC conferences, clearly stated that the money that was stolen, it was proceeds from the sale of animals. Now, laws have been broken. However, we do not have a sense that these institutions are doing right by the constitution and the people of our country. That is why we feel it necessary for, as opposition parties, to act. Had these institutions done what is required by the law, we would not be here. Look at the issue of the the deputy public protector. We have a case whereby she nicodemously went to the president. They agree on an extension on the answering of the 31 questions. It's only after the public were raising concerns, she issues a statement to inform the public that she's granted the president an extension. Now, after we made noise as opposition parties, the president requests another extension, and it is only after again we made noise that that extension was not granted. Therefore, we're dealing with a case of a president in power might not be held to the same standards as if it was another person. That is why we believe that with the motion of no confidence and Ramaphosa is out of that office, this investigation from your SARS to the Reserve Bank, from your Hawks, Office of the Public Protector, can be independently done. Thank you.
President Likota.
Thank you, Chairperson. The question of whether the president will be allowed to violate the law, that he will be allowed to demand that he must not be exposed for what he's done, must be answered. The people of South Africa, the people who elected the majority that is sitting in parliament, must now, for the last time, I think, understand that they voted for men and women. If they vote for this president to go on, to protect him on this thing, then the people of South Africa must have no doubt whatsoever that they elected scoundrels. The test is this one. You can't make an oath, and then when you are supposed to vote for right or wrong, then you think you can hide behind the man or woman sitting next to you. You must stand there and you must respond and accept the responsibility of the results of your action. There is no hiding place now. And the people of South Africa, after that, once they've got an answer, if it is the one that I suspect, as we have seen before, is likely to be this way, then they must know that in the next election, they must find out who are the men and women who can be trusted with the future of this country. Today, our people have no water. Today, they don't have houses. Today, their children cannot even go into classrooms. Schools have no windows, they have no water, and so on. It's for these elements who refuse to be honest and to hold men and women whom they have sent to parliament. If they don't demand from them to say, our money must build schools for our children, must do this, must do that. Today, so many men, hard-working men, killed 10 years ago. They have not been consoled. Their families have nothing. Why should our people go back and vote for the same people to go and do the same thing which they have done for the last 10 years? Here's the president who's promised them he will go and ask for forgiveness. Well, how long does it take to say to people, I apologize? No. So now we can say with a clear conscience, political power is in your hands. Please, please, elect men and women who, when they take an oath of office, will do what they promise you, the people. We sit back and watch. But we will work hard to ensure that you get the truth. And this time, I say to you, it's the last time you commit suicide by taking crooks and criminals and thieves and put them in parliament and say they must run your country for you. Thank you.
President Nonto.
DP, we can only congratulate President-elect Ruto for winning Kenyan elections. And we hope that Raila Odinga abandons his court challenge. He's a bad loser. He has been doing this in Kenya for the past 4 or 5 elections, and people have been dying. He must go, he must retire. Thank you, Chair.
Amanda, let's take the next. Let's take the next round of questions, the clarity-seeking questions, which will be the last round. So if the afterthought comes after this process, it may be difficult. You can go number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Can we just clarify that they won't be further hands? So the 4 are the only ones that are going to take questions. Let's have the roving microphone go to number 1.
Yes, thank you. I just want to find out, I mean, like General Holomisa says, this almost feels like it's a sense of deja vu. We've been on this journey before. What makes you think that this particular one is going to be different? We've had an ad hoc committee before. We've had votes of no confidence being put that have failed. What makes you think that you're going to succeed where Parliament has failed and the committee system has failed up until this point?
Number 2, so the responses are going to start from President Nyonto until the President of the EFA.
Thank you very much, Bali Tetani from Newsroom Africa. My question is quite similar to Busi. We've been here before, like Babu Bantu Holomisa says, you know, it took a while, especially coming from you as opposition parties, to finally see the former president to be in the position that we found him. If you fail with this current strategy, what is the plan then onwards? Also, we did hear from the president saying that these are bullying tactics, he's being targeted, and he will be accountable, and he will basically saying that he will be accountable. And basically, why do you think that he can boldly say such comments, especially with such serious allegations leveled against him? Yeah, I think. Also coming to the issue of numbers once more, you know, you have said that the likes of Good is not with you in the strategy, as well as Al-Jamaa. You know, how do you think that it will honestly be possible, you know, to have this motion in Parliament? Thank you very much.
Number 3.
My name is Tim Bilitele. I'm with Bloomberg News. On the individual legal action, given the response of the Reserve Bank this morning, Mr. Malema, there was a discussion around going to court to try and compel SARS and I think FICA to respond to your questions. Is that still on the cards, or are you taking legal advice? I'm just wondering in terms of timelines. Thank you.
Number 4.
Thanks, DP. Mawande again from Sunday Times. Perhaps to play devil's advocate to test the genuinity of this particular mission to everyone at the top table. One would say...
Sorry, are you calling genuinity?
No, genuinity. Okay. Yes. So... So I'm saying, I'm saying I'm playing general, I'm playing devil's advocate. It's not me saying it, I'm just trying to test just how much you guys mean what you are up to. So I'm saying one would say the current administration is into its 5th year as it relates to the appointment of President Cyril Ramaphosa as president. 15 February next year, he'll be finishing 5 years in office. One would say, how did it take you guys so long to realize that he was a bad man for the job? And those people would list a lot of other failures before this, such as the COVID corruption, the 500 billion that disappeared, and all other things that happened, in the previous years. And one would say, discard the answer about, yes, there was COVID and then Parliament was shut down. In fact, a question to that would say, how did opposition parties allow the ANC to shut down Parliament, wherein the executive is supposed to account? Mr. Malema liked saying at some point during the COVID handling that he would no longer, as the EFF, attend the meetings that the president was calling, even outside Parliament. because he said they felt that they were just it was rubber stamping decisions that are not thought through properly. So as I said, the basic question is that how did it take you as the opposition parties this long to realize that, and are you not taking advantage of what others, according to the current incident, as ANC factional wars, knowing Arthur Fraser and his involvement within ANC as an ANC man himself, within the ANC ongoing factional wars, are you not getting caught up in such things instead of focusing on much other genuine?
Thank you very much. We're going to take responses now. The first response will come from the President of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Tanzania, President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Thank you, DP. You know, they say if two things are the same, another one must cease to exist. We cannot behave.
Various countries of the world where democracy prevails is because the people of those countries, when they are given an opportunity to vote, we went to jail to give you the right to vote. Some of us sacrifice our brothers and sisters and so on. But ultimately, you got the right to vote. Now you vote for crooks and criminals. What should we do now? Can you give us a magic answer now? How can we make you not to vote for crooks and criminals who steal your money, who don't do a thing for you? What should we do? We continue to say to you that which you must do. And until the day comes when you wake up and you do that which we are telling you is the right thing to do, until that day comes, we are as caught up in the trap as you put us in. I thank you.
The President of African Transformation Movement, President Vuyelwa Zungula.
Thank you, Chair. The question about why is he arrogantly saying he's being bullied? It's because he knows he's protected. Some people in the media, instead of following the evidence, following how there are serious breaches to the Constitution, the oath of office, they would rather point this entire situation of Phala to imaginary ANC factions, instead of following what the law says and how the first citizen should be the first person to abide by the law. Look what happened in Phala, where there are serious transgressions to the law. Because if you are going to talk about people getting kidnapped, people getting tortured in the private farm of a president, I don't think in many first world countries or in countries whereby democracy and the rule of law and human rights, there would be a response like we have in South Africa. Instead, in South Africa, we've got former public protectors that will say what the president is not accused of is not corruption, instead of focusing on what is on the table. Ramaphosa is able to utter those words because he knows that he enjoys the protection of some NGOs, some people in the media. That is why even political parties are being vilified for doing what they're elected to do. Now, on the last question as to why did it take so long, you'll remember that in 2020, the ATM did submit a motion of no confidence, and we wanted it to be secret ballot because the principle was there in the previous administration on the method of voting for motions of no confidence. We had to go to court, fight, and even now the speaker is refusing to abide by the principle of the method of voting being by means of secret ballot. The parties in this table were ready to support that motion. So all we're trying to say is that the parties have been operating, have been working to make sure that Ramaphosa accounts. It's only now that we are publicly, engaging the citizens as a unit. But we have been having engagements behind the scenes, and even in the meetings that Ramaphosa had with the leaders of opposition parties, we raised these issues and many other issues. It is only after we felt that some of the things that Ramaphosa is doing and saying there, it was just to rubber stamp, that some of us felt that we will not continue attending those meetings. Otherwise, the opposition parties have been attending, have been addressing these issues. Even now, I can assure you, 2 years later, even this action, people will be asking, but what did you do? Because they will say, you put through a motion without the numbers. So the general attitude of the members of society is that since the opposition parties are not in majority, they must just sit back and watch as things crumble in parliament. However, the results, in fact, the actions have been there that opposition parties in parliament have been acting. Thank you.
The President of the United Democratic Movement, General Kwanto Olumise.
Thank you very much. Of all the meetings I've attended with my colleagues here, we have never talked about factions of within the ANC. We have been focusing on what emerged in Palapala. So the story of saying, accusing us who are taking advantage must be rejected outright. So having said that, you heard the Minister of Higher Education last Monday in the SACP conference when he said that Fraser has violated the laws of this country, insinuating that the evidence he used to open the case against Cyril Ramaphosa was classified as a secret. So how can you classify a crime to be a secret thing? So just look at the caliber of the cabinet we have here. Already, Cyril Ramaphosa is already compromised. Comrade Zungula is correct to say Cyril Ramaphosa is abusing his office by protecting himself. Here is a minister who tells us that, oh no, Mr. Olomesa, what you are asking, we classified it as secret. But you don't make headlines about that. Thank you. So we are still on the right path. We deal with the case as it comes. Today focuses on Palapala and vote of no confidence. Of course, we will include Palapala. So don't use the issue of JZ. We dealt with the issue of JZ. He's no longer in the office. This one has to go because he has messed up the country. He cannot even state how that farm of his was broken. How can you say, no, the matter is under investigation, I'm not going to comment? Investigating what? Don't come and play here.
From the African Christian Democratic Party, Honorable Wayne Thring.
On the question of deja vu, that we've been there before, so what is different this time? I think that this time, certainly the political parties, the opposition parties have the resolve. We have the determination to see this through. There is agreement that the president of the country must account, that the president of the country must be held responsible for his actions, that he cannot hide behind some of the institutions that seek to protect him, and we are determined to see this to the end. We are also determined to involve civil society, labor, religious organizations that have the same resolve that we do, that no one in South Africa is above the law. And should they be found to be any contraventions of oath of office, contravening the laws of the country, they must be held accountable irrespective of the office that they hold. The DA question, or the devil advocate question, and why has it taken so long, and when Parliament was shut down, you've been quiet. Let me be clear that the ACDP has been vocal. The ACDP has spoken out against the fact that as members of parliament, the right for members of parliament to hold cabinet to account was taken away from us during that particular period. And as such, we supported the private members' bill that came from one of the opposition parties, which sought to reverse the fact that decisions were being taken by your Corona Command Council, an unelected body. It was wrong. And so the ACDP was vocal about that, and we will continue to be vocal in holding cabinet to account. Thank you.
The Secretary General of Inkatha Freedom Party, SG Sipositin Mo.
Thank you very much, Chair. Now, responding to the question of why now? Why do we believe there is going to be something different? Maybe let me take that angle. Look, the results of the motions, past motions, there have been a number of them now. The results have not been the same. They have been changing, showing that at the beginning people did not believe that it was possible to hold the bull by its horns. But there was a beginning, and there was an improvement each time. Look at the last one. It was so close. The last one was so close. And therefore, I want to say there is nothing that can stop us from getting what we want, because people have seen outside there that everything is now beginning to go amiss, go wrong. The second reason I want to give for why do we think there is going to be something different now. Look at the 2021 local government elections results. Those results showed quite clearly that people are tired outside. They are now beginning to see things that are done wrongly by the executive. I would say by government, but I would say by the ruling party, if you like. Now, I want to say people have seen that there is nothing wrong in following your heart, doing what you believe in, what you believe is correct. And that is the second reason why we think there is going to be something different now. 3, it's for the first time that the nation sees the opposition parties closing ranks like they have done now. It has never been as organized as it is today. And going forward, therefore, we must have all the confidence that everything will go right. We stand a good chance to put the country back to the right track. And lastly, I just want to make a comment which is similar to what the General said. Look, there is nothing, it's not about the ANC here. Everything is about what is right. Everything is seeing where the country is heading. And everything must be getting worried. Should we keep quiet until the country collapses? So I am saying it is not about taking chances because the ANC is finding itself in this situation it is in now. It's not about that. It is about doing the right thing and bringing South Africa back to prosperity. Thank you.
The President of the Economic Emancipation Movement, Commander-in-Chief Julius Malema.
No, thank you very much, DP. We've been here before and we won. Don't talk like we didn't win. Don't create an impression that we've been here before and we lost. We won. We said President Zuma will not conclude his term of office. We put a motion of no confidence as the EFF. The ANC went into its caucus and resolved that members of the ANC must vote with the EFF on the motion of no confidence. It's not so long ago. It's just Malobanyana. But because you want to pretend like you don't know what we're talking about, or we've been here before, what do you think this time is going to make you succeed? We won. There's an ANC caucus resolution. Remember President Zuma did a press conference a night before where we thought he's going to resign, and he said something else and said nothing. The following day, Paul Mashatile went to address the caucus and said, they came to us and said the EFF must withdraw the motion of no confidence, the ANC will put the motion of no confidence and they'll vote for it. We said no. We are going to vote on our motion of no confidence. Paul went back and told them, you're going to vote on the EFF's motion of no confidence. President Zuma, following that, he immediately resigned. So what are you talking about? Trying to create a non-existing imagination that we've been here before and we didn't win. We won. So there's nothing that we have said which did not come to pass. There's no one bullying the president. We are doing our work. We've never went into any hall and disrupted the president. We've never thrown eggs at him when he's speaking or shoes. All we did was to write letters, write questions, and we did what it is expected of us. And that's what we have to do. We have never bullied him. But he must know he will never bully us. He's a nobody. He's got no struggle credentials. We owe him nothing. If anything, he's a suspect of being a sellout and a conniver with the apartheid regime. And therefore, he will never bully us. He likes it or not, he's going to account. We're not scared of him. Neither are we scared of all the institutions that are protecting him, including the Oppenheimers. We're not scared of them. The president has violated his oath of office and has violated the laws of South Africa and the Constitution and is going to account. Whether he likes it or not, he will never bully us. We've never bullied the president. We've never done anything to the president. Numbers, colleagues, I would rather be alone, but be on the side of the truth. Why do you want me to be with the rest because I don't have numbers, even when I'm speaking the truth? The truth will always be the truth, whether I've got numbers or I don't have numbers. Do not mobilize us into your lying factions because we don't have numbers. Let us be alone with our truth. Let us see our graves with our truth. Let us die with our conscience intact and not being part of a lie that has become South Africa. So we are not part of a lie. We'll rather